So we're here to talk about generational wealth and wealth building, specifically in the Black community.
Awesome. Let's talk about that. Communities are built from people. We're enablers.
Exactly.
When I think about that. Yeah. And advice is what we give. Creating access, helping people understand and have awareness around how they can achieve the things that they want to achieve and build a community. Something you and I are kind of thinking about in this conversation is a wealth gap when we think about people of color versus people that are not.
For me, the wealth gap is primarily information. I think it's asymmetric information. People just don't know.
Yeah.
Once you get over that hump, then I focus on capital building in general and gathering assets to give you the flexibility to do all the other beautiful things you can do.
There's a difference when you think about Black people and where you start, and then you think about folks that aren't Black with a legacy or an inheritance. Really, you're running a race where you're starting here and someone's starting 50 yards ahead of you. As we think about how do we start to close that gap, what does legacy look like and what does transitioning wealth look like? It is really opportunity and access to things. We often talk about, like, how do you just get in and how do you start? And so I do think it's worth talking about the importance of thinking ahead. What's your legacy?
I focus on credit, assets, and debt. You need to focus on it very, very early. If you're not an adult in a position to affect that for yourself, you need to be doing that for your children. And that means managing your debt. And you need to acquire assets.
The Sonda Brown Duckett, she was having a conversation recently, and one of the things she said is, it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. And so, so really thinking differently about like what you keep.
There's 3 different buckets, right? So you have, I'm starting, what do I need to do? Then you have, I'm here, what do I need to do? And then you have this very unique bucket, well beyond I'm here, wealth, they're rich. How do you translate a high income into wealth and generational wealth? And the strategy for all 3 buckets is different. When you're starting, it's primarily around getting the basics right, getting the credit right, getting the debt right, getting that first asset right. Then it's really around, okay, have I brought my debt down to the level that I think is appropriate for my lifestyle? I worked really, really hard to get here, and I need to reward myself for that, right? You can't. You need to think a little bit more long term. Let's talk about how the industry has approached the Black community and what can we do better.
There's a lot to unpack there. When you have an institution that says, hey, we're leaning into helping folks have access to credit, to helping them understand how to manage debt effectively, and being able to say very clearly that we're looking to do that for Black people because there's an opportunity to do so. How do we create awareness at a level where people understand what they have access to? We have solutions for that, and that we can really help them when they think about where they want to go next and what that next step is. Really amplifying that is something that we can do to kind of, accelerate the pace.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We have a financial literacy issue in America. And to your point, we shouldn't shy away from that.
Sometimes it's just the practicality of what to do next. And what that very specific strategy is for you. And how do you personalize that strategy so that it's not one size fits all, here's what we have, take this. But it's really understanding what are the very clear practical steps that you can take. That's really when we're gonna know that we're starting to really make the magic happen, right?
This is a great conversation, by the way. Thank you for doing this.
Yes.